Thanks everyone for joining. We're here to tell you about Robin, and we're on a mission to save you time, help you be more effective, and spend less of your time trawling through websites and policies, and more time taking action and doing all the more valuable work that you need to do. We've got four of us from the Robin team on the call today. Myself, I'm Joe. I'm one of the co-founders of Robin. Also, Lisa, who is our lead partnership manager. Hannah, who heads up customer operations, who many of our customers will have chatted to, I'm sure, and Rebecca, who's our product marketing lead. We between us we're part of the Key Group with Robin, and then we've worked across those products that the Key Group offers. So whether that's Governor Hub or Arbor or the Key, we've had across those products over 15 years experience of supporting schools. Especially, my background is mainly with the Key, where, as you all know, we spend a lot of time helping school leaders with governance and policies and compliance. And Robin really came out of that experience. We knew from experience how much time gets spent organizing policies, reviewing policies, making sure they're compliant, and then also getting those up on the school website and then making sure the school website is compliant. And so we had a sense that that was difficult, but until AI, the only way to really look at that was manually, and that was really hard. It's hard to keep up to date with the DfE's guidance. The DfE rules change a lot, and people are running schools, not running websites, so they're incredibly busy and don't necessarily have the time to focus on those. And that has real consequences. School websites are not always in the best state. There can be compliance gaps, and that's the information that parents see when they visit the website. So it's really important. Also, there can be a lot of admin work involved in not only doing that kind of checking, but also firefighting or responding when there are issues. So hopefully, with a tool like Robin, you can get ahead of those challenges and avoid that kind of firefighting that comes when you've got gaps. We definitely see that on average there are these challenges. And so with Robin now, we've reviewed well over 2,000 school websites. And so we can get a nice picture kind of on average of how things are going across the country. And when we analyze school websites, we find that on average, 1/3 of policies are overdue review. So that, the date the policy gives for when it was due to be reviewed is in the past. And when we do the compliance check, we find that about 21% of the required information is missing on average. So yeah, the Robin data shows on aggregate, and when somebody joins Robin, we often say to them, maybe take some encouragement from this. Like, nobody's perfect. There's plenty of room for improvement. You're not unusual. And we definitely see that in the averages. And yeah, as I said, the reason really for a lot of those challenges, I think, is because the only way to do this until now has been manually. It wasn't possible until AI came along to read the contents of a web page or a policy and really understand it. And so, Robin's made that possible, but when you do this manually, it's very time consuming to do and to organize. It's not necessarily that accurate. We like to think we're all good at our jobs, but manually checking compliance across hundreds of policies and web pages is hard work, and it's hard to do that well. And when you do things manually, often you end up with just information in a spreadsheet that's not actually that usable, and gets siloed. And so, yeah, these are the sort of set of challenges we're really trying to tackle with Robin to use AI to replace that manual work with Robin doing the work for you so that you can focus your time on taking action rather than trawling through the website. We have over 160 trusts that are using Robin now, which is great. And as I said, well over 2,000 schools. You can see some examples on the screen there of the trusts that are using Robin. We also have individual schools and single academy trusts. Robin's not just for maths. And it's great now, having been around for about a year and a half, that we're starting to get the sort of case studies and the feedback of the real impact that Robin is having. So you can see a few example quotes on screen there. Without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Lisa, who's going to give you a full demo of the core Robin product. I'll stop sharing, Lisa.
Audio on, and here we go. Okay. Should be able to see my screen. Perfect. Hear me okay? Thumbs up. Marvelous. Hi everybody. So I may have seen some of you before, and to anybody else, welcome. I'm just going to give you a bit of an overview, a short overview of Robin, for the compliance check, the policy audit, and we'll also look at the trust website review as well. Again, if you've got any questions about Robin, please pop them in the chat. We will have a feedback survey at the end of the session. So if you would like to know little bit more about Robin and more in-depth demo, then just let us know on the feedback form or obviously pop it in the chat. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to look at the compliance check. So Robin is looking at the DFE list of requirements and will check your website against that list. So the first thing that Robin will give you is a bit of a headlines page just as an overview. So you can see exactly what Robin has found and sort of the most common missing information, the areas with the most missing requirements. So you get a really nice headlines page there that you can dive into if you wanted to. You've then got your schools tab here. So this will list all of the schools within your trust and it will show you how compliant each school is against the list of DFE requirements. So as Joe just said, I mean, we do get them, the majority are around 80%. You do get some a little bit lower or higher, but the majority are at 80. So you can see really clearly just by one click how compliant all of your schools are. You can then do a deep dive into each school individually. So I'll click into Buzzard Hill and you'll see the top area here. So we've got these sections that Robin has checked under each one of the contents areas. And then you'll be able to see the percentages against each one. Then when you scroll down on this summary section, this is then broken down into each individual requirement. It's telling me that this is the requirement, this is where Robin looked for the information, and this is the information that was found. So if this is my job to be looking over this report now, I would go through, yep, this is brilliant. I've got green ticks along here. This is all correct. I've got a red cross here. So this requirement wasn't found by Robin. It wasn't met. So I can just simply go into the website and change the information and then go back in and edit the results. And the beauty of Robin, and as Joe has said, you know, we're on a mission to save you time, is you don't have to go out of Robin to then go into the website, to then find the page or the document or the policy or the whatever it might be on that school's website. You just can do it directly from Robin. So this is going to save you a lot of time. Again, you just go into your results, you can edit it, and you can just say that we fixed the website. And you can also leave notes on there as well. If you did need to move any requirements, then you can do. Let me just get rid of that. And then you can remove requirements if needed here. And if you wanted to move requirement for all schools or just an individual school, you can here. And where would you like to remove the requirement from with regards to the compliance checks? So all of your compliance requirements, sorry, are listed down here, and you can see again really clearly and easily what Robin has found and the information here that Robin hasn't met, you haven't met that requirement. So if I go back up to the top, there we go. You can export all of your reports as well into a CSV file and PDF file, which is a really nice feature, especially if you've got a governor's meeting and you want to show them what's going on in Buzzard Hill, or obviously any one of your schools, you can download that report as well. Your requirements tab. So this is really good at trust level as well. So you would be able to see at a glance against all of the DFE requirements. So these are all listed here. How many schools are missing each requirement. And if I scroll all the way down, you'll be able to see all of the requirements there and who's missing. And then all you simply do is you click into the requirement itself. That will then list all of your schools and it will show me this one is missing it, this one is missing, and so on. So then you can go in and make those amendments, or if it's down to the schools to do it, they can go in and do those changes. Really quick and easy, again, saving you a lot of time. Your history tab will just give you a bit of an overview now of the previous reviews that have been run and how compliant your trust is. And over the course of your subscription, we would want to be seeing that obviously going up towards 100% over the 12 months. So that's your compliance check. The next one is your policy audits. At the same time Robin's doing all of this work, Robin's also looking at your policies on the website. So you have your headlines page just as you do. So it all looks very, very familiar to your compliance check. You've got your schools tab, so it lists all of your schools, and then you will see all of the policies that were found against each school's website. You will be able to see any overdue policies and any of your required policies. So your statutory policies, are there any missing? And then you can just look here straight away and you'll be able to see which ones are missing. So you can just simply, and it's really, this is great because depending on if you want your trust to have uniform policies across all of the schools, or some trusts will say, yep, schools can upload any number of policies, but here you'll be able to see what policies they've got and what's in date and out of date. So I can click quickly. I'll use Buzzard again. Click on this. This is then going to show me all of my statutory policies in this top box here. And it shows me the actual policy itself and the page it's sitting on and the date it's due for review. Any that you see in a blue box is telling me really clearly that that policy is also sitting on the trust website. So again, you don't have to go and find that policy. It's all there. Within one click, you'll be able to see that really clearly. And again, this is what's so great about Robin. If I do need to go in and amend anything or remove a policy and update a new one, I can just do it directly from these links. Again, saving you so much time. If I scroll down, I can see all of the other policies that are on this particular school's website. So they're all there. So I can see what's in date, what's out of date. And if there's any discrepancies, I'll be able to see it there as well. The categories tab here, this will show me all of the policies here for my statutory policies with the number of schools that I have and the number of overdue documents or any policies, statutory policies that are missing. And then here I'll be able to see all of the policies throughout my schools in the trust. So I have one of my schools here that has the adult behaviour policy. Now, do I want all of my schools to have that policy? Does that policy need to be removed? Again, it's just a really good way for you to be able to see what's going on your school's websites. And from here, I can just simply click into any one of the policies here, the categories, and then it will list all of the schools. If I scroll down, I'll be able to see what's on the trust websites, what's in date, what's out of date. And you can just do it very, very quickly from here. Robin will also look, Robin doesn't just look on that policies page, as you can see, it's showing you what pages it's on. So if any policies have been tucked away under another tab, if I was going in, I possibly wouldn't be looking under another tab to look for a policy, but you'll be able to pick it up on here because Robin will find those for you. And then you've got your history tab here. So this will give you an overview of your previous reviews, the number of policies that was found, and then your number of overdues and required policies. And ideally what you want to do throughout your subscription is get those down to a lovely 0. So that's your compliance check and your policy audit. And on top of all of that, Robin will also be looking at your trust website. So you will get a free trust website check every time a review is run for your schools. So Robin has looked at my own trust website. Fortunately, I'm at 100% compliant, which is fantastic. But I can see here that this is the requirements, these are the documents, the page it's on, and any information that Robin has found. So that's really good news for me as a trust. And then the policy audit, again, it looks almost the same, as identical as your policy audit for the schools. So you've got your statutory policies here. These will all show in a blue box because they are sitting on the trust website. So again, it's really nice and clear for you. And then you'll be able to see what's in date and what's out of date here as well. So again, you get that completely free of charge with Robin when you take out a membership, and we check your scores for compliance and policies. So that's me. I'm going to pass over to Hannah, and she's going to give you a little bit of a run through about the customer success. Thank you. Stop sharing.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Yes, hi everyone. So I'm Hannah. I am the customer operations lead for Robin. And as Lisa said, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our onboarding process. So, what happens once you've signed up to a Robin subscription? And the really key thing here is Robin just works. So one of the best things about Robin is it's just so simple to get set up. We sync all of our data from Get Information About Schools. So when you sign up, we already have everything we need. It gives us the full list of schools that are in your trust, including all of their websites, and key details like school type and phase. So the checks are automatically tailored to which requirements apply to each school. Everything's just ready for you once you sign up. We can work with pretty well any website platform. With over 2,000 schools now using Robin, we're confident we can handle most things that school websites throw at us. And basically all that means is that once you sign up, the first review can be run pretty much immediately. So it's a really, really speedy setup process. In terms of signing into Robin and setting up your account, we use single sign-on with either a Microsoft or a Google account. So there's no extra passwords to remember. You just use your existing account to log in. And again, that just makes it super speedy. It's almost like one click and you're signed in. There's no limit to the number of members you can have on Robin. So if you wanted to have all of your school staff have logins, if you've got head teachers, SBMs, or anybody else who sort of manages your websites, that's absolutely fine. And once you've got an account, we'll let you know when your reviews have run and you can log in and see your results straight away. So you don't need to remember when the reviews are running. We'll let you know and you can go on and have a look at your results. We also offer different levels of access. So you can either make it so that schools can only see their own website review results, or you can have it so that everybody can see all the schools' results, not just their own. And actually, we have a number of trusts that are using Robin in that way. And what we find is it encourages collaboration so they can easily check how other schools are handling certain requirements. It's really easy to then navigate and go to that requirements page that Lisa showed you and see sort of how everyone else is doing it. But also maybe some friendly competition. If they think, well, we're on 70% and they're on 80%, what can we do to try and boost our numbers up? We see that quite often. Next slide, please, Jo. Thank you. There's plenty of customizable options for Robin as well. So we really try and make Robin work for you. So when you first get set up, we'll agree on the dates for when your website reviews will run, and that'll either be on a monthly or a half-termly basis. Jo will go through the sort of subscriptions options a bit later on. But we know that plans can change, so you can reschedule your reviews at any time to best suit your schedule and fitting around board meetings and that sort of thing. As Lisa showed you, we've got a set list of policies that are required to be on school websites and trust websites, but you can actually choose additional categories to be added to that list. So, the DfE says a certain categories of policies should be on there, but actually in your trust, if you want all of your schools to have another category, you can add that to the list, both for your schools and for your trust website. So it makes it really easy to check that the websites have everything that they need to have. And again, Lisa touched on it, you can remove requirements that don't apply to certain schools, or even to all of your schools. An example we often see for that is if you want to remove, for example, the performance requirements for special schools, because maybe they don't publish them. That's really easy to do with Robin. And that's Robin onboarding in a nutshell. So I'll hand back to Jo now, but if you do have any questions, please pop them on the Q&A and we'll make sure we pick those up at the end. And thank you very much.
Amazing. Thanks, Hannah. Yeah, as I said earlier, one of the nice things about Robin is we've been supporting schools and trusts for about a year and a half now. And so we're starting to see the impact that Robin can have. This is a case study from Athena Learning Trust, who've been using Robin since September 2024. And there's two things here that kind of we really love. One is their compliance has gone up, as you can see. So when they first checked their sites with Robin, they were 76% compliant, and by the following summer, they were 94% compliant. And as Georgina says there, they have a number of schools that are now 100% compliant. But also not just the numbers, but the kind of impact of that on them in terms of their work. I love that quote from Jess saying, this has just really reduced the level of stress, meant that they feel much more confident about the state of their websites when there's a question comes up, when Ofsted come in. And they have Robin kind of working in the background for them, freeing them up to take action. You can see that obviously in the fact they've been able to address some of those gaps, but also I'm sure they've gone off and done other things that are nothing to do with website compliance because they have more time in their day. And if you're head of governance across a trust, for example, there's plenty of other things to be cracking on with rather than manually trawling through websites. We also see that kind of impact on average. So as I said, when we first check a website, normally we find it about 80% compliant. Over time, as schools and trusts have more reviews, we see those numbers go up to the point that where a school has been using Robin for over a year, the average is then into the kind of 90% plus now. So it's really great to see that Robin really does work. It doesn't just save you time on the manual check, it allows you to take action and improve. You don't immediately go to 100% because DFE requirements change, policies need reviewing. It's not something you can, there will be some quick fixes, I'm sure, when you first see your Robin results, but some of the things will need some time and also the requirements constantly change. So whether that's your annual performance data or whether it's your annual pupil premium statements, there's lots to stay on top of and Robin helps you do that. Yeah, next up, this really excited to show you some of the new features we've been working on that we're just starting to make available to our customers because we want Robin to do more for you than what it's already doing there. And there's two new tasks that we're just rolling out at the moment. We've been speaking to a lot of governance professionals and people who kind of maintain school websites, obviously. And one thing that's come up specifically is the amount of time they're spending trying to keep the school websites and the DFE GS site in sync in terms of their list of governors across all of their schools. This is a nice example of the school just down the road from me here, the Harris Academy Chobham, where their school website has this page with a list of their governors, and then on get information about schools, there's the same information. Governors come, governors go, roles change, and way too much time is spent trying to keep that important information up to date. So we have a new governance check in a governance audit within Robin, which is in beta, as you can see here, that we're just rolling out, where Robin goes and analyzes across the whole trust the school websites and the DFE data and checks how many governors there are, checks for any discrepancies or inconsistencies in the data, and spots any other issues. And so you can quickly see, again, like how many governors you've got and everything. But if we come into an example, what Robin's picking up here, which I think is really useful, is, for example, this governor started in November, and the governor is on the GS record, but is not on the school website. And so as the person responsible for that, that just allows you to go, oh yeah, I never did add that person to the school website. I can quickly go in and do that. And yeah, this wasn't something we had on our sort of roadmap a year ago, but talking to governance professionals and school business managers, we've heard that this is a real pain point. So we're very excited about rolling that out and yeah, saving you time there as well. Oh, nice to see some excitement in the channel there. The other feature we are launching is, well, quite often we get this question, do you check the compliance of policy content? The DFE guidance on what has to be on your website doesn't really go into much detail about the contents of those documents. For example, with the behavior policy, all that the website guidance says is you have to have a behavior policy on your website. As you will well know, though, there is statutory guidance on behavior in schools, and that includes a lot of detail about what has to be or should be in a behavior policy. And it's not just behavior, it's child protection, attendance, SEN. There's lots of statutory guidance about what should be in these documents. And so we've been working on deep dives, specific compliance checks of policy content to go alongside the kind of overarching website compliance check. So we've got a first set of deep dives on some kind of core policies we know that it will be useful to check, where we have broken down that DFE guidance into individual requirements. And then, we can check those across all of the documents that we find, as we already do with the compliance check. So to take a look at an example here, this is our attendance policy compliance check based on the DFE guidance on attendance. And you can quickly see across the schools in the trust whether the policies found on their websites are compliant. And if we come into an example one, you can see individually, sort of line by line, each of those requirements and whether they've been met. And so that DFE guidance on working together to improve attendance has been broken down into individual requirements. And we can see here, for example, that this school's attendance policy doesn't name the senior attendance champion. Just little insight, having looked at these, this is probably the most common missing requirement on attendance policies that we've seen, is that schools are not saying explicitly who their senior attendance champion is, and that is something they are supposed to do. So very excited about these. They have all the same features as you have in the website compliance check. You can see it by requirement. You can see the history. You can edit the result if you fix the website. So you get all of those kind of features of Robin, but with a whole new set of checks. These experiments, as I said, we're going to be rolling these out to customers kind of in beta. Our experiments are included in membership. So if you subscribe to Robin, we did this with the Trust website before. Essentially, we will include those beta experiments kind of for free while we work on them. And we're really keen to work together with our customers to get feedback and improve them, because these things are quite new. And then at some point in the future, we'll roll them into the main package and they will run automatically. I can see lots of comments I haven't been able to read, but maybe there'll be some specific questions about these that we come back to. So just before we get to questions, very natural thing to ask about pricing for those that haven't seen it. So yeah, we like to keep everything as simple as possible with Robin. So we have two options in terms of pricing: a half-termly check or a monthly check. So that's kind of $199 for the half-termly or $299 for the monthly. That price is per school. And for a trust, it's just how many schools you have. As Lisa said, we don't have an additional charge for the trust check. And if you are a trust buying for all your schools, there's a 10% discount on those prices. That price includes everything we've shown. So the website compliance check, the policy audit, unlimited users, and all of the kind of support that you get from the team. Yeah, and as you can see at the bottom there, it includes beta access to new features. And we've been saying that for a while, and it's great to now have some of those coming to you. So yeah, if you've got any questions about pricing, you feel free to follow up, but hopefully it's pretty straightforward. Right, on that note, I'm gonna move across to questions. I can see some have been coming in, so maybe I will just work through those. I did see a couple of questions, maybe I'll go back to first, about kind of how Robin checks policies and where that information comes from. So yeah, Rob, that first compliance check and policy audit you get from Robin is entirely AI done using Robin, using AI. So we are looking through the website, finding those documents, reading them, and from the document working out when's the next review date, when's the last review date. And so that could be a PDF document, it could be a web page, it could be something that's hosted on a Google Drive or by another provider. As long as we can access that document via the website, we can read it and we can analyze it. One of the things that Robin handles really well is we don't mind the kind of format of the content. You might have your dates in there as full dates. You might have them in there as term dates. We essentially read them and kind of map them across to a month when that document is due for review, or to extract the content. So everything you saw that Lisa demoed is generated automatically for you, and then you can come in and look at it afterwards. Right, I think I'm going to move across to the individual questions. Let me just update it to see if whether anything's been upvoted much. So yeah, Claire asked about whether we can read kind of policies hosted on a different platform. Yeah, absolutely. So we can, as long as they're accessible publicly over the internet. As Hannah said, we've having worked with well over 2,000 schools, we've sort of seen most of the different scenarios in terms of how people might host their documents. Yeah, be that on a SharePoint, a public SharePoint, or Google Drive, or in another platform. So yeah, as long as those documents are linked to directly and kind of hosted in a way that's clear, we're able to access them. Sometimes, if your trust or school has a particularly different way of doing this than we've ever seen before, we'll just need to do a little bit of work when we first set up Robin to get that working. But we haven't seen anything that we can't do yet there. Let me just refresh and see if there were any other. Yeah, there's been a couple of questions about the schedule, which is great. We're learning a lot here, and I think we're keen to kind of find a way to be flexible. We have that set schedule of kind of half-termly or monthly. You can go in and edit that schedule. So if you're looking at your schedule and thinking, actually, I'd rather that run was a week later or a week earlier, you can edit that within Robin. We also know that there's various scenarios where a kind of one-off check could be useful. That could be because Ofsted have called on a Monday and you think, God, it would be great to check that website. It could be because you've just moved website platform or a school has just joined the trust. At the moment, we do often run those one-off checks for people if they get in touch with Hannah. We are able to do that. Going forward, we're thinking about how we might include that just as a feature within the tool that you can trigger yourself. So yeah, we're pretty flexible, keen to just help you and learning a lot about what the best way will be for Robin to support you. We are increasingly hearing from trusts on a Monday who are wanting to run a check for that Ofsted reason. Can Robin read PDF documents? Yes.
There's also a sort of related queries there of like, how does Robin pick up the dates for review? Can we work with like term dates rather than specific dates?
Yeah, so as I said, we are picking them up from the documents themselves. And so that could be on a cover page, it could be in the contents. Robin essentially reads the document as a person would and works out when the dates are. We use month as the way we organize the policy audit, a month and a year, but that also handles terms. So for example, if your document says it's due for review in the autumn term, we will set it as due for review by December. And so we kind of have some kind of intelligent logic in there to say, well, this document is due for review in the autumn term. So if it's not reviewed by January, then it's overdue. And so Robin should handle those scenarios pretty well. But if you see any situation where Robin hasn't done what you would expect in terms of the month it's given, then do let us know. But yeah, we use months because that feels like the best fit. It's not an option at the moment to kind of change that. We just try and handle it naturally. Hannah, were there any others you think I should answer?
One for me actually. So the how quickly is onboarding from ordering to first checks? It could be the next day. It's like I said, we sync everything from get information about schools, so we should have everything that we need. Once you're happy to get going, we can do it pretty quickly. So yeah, there's no hanging around.
People are one step ahead of us with these questions. There's a question about whether we have a kind of policy manager function. Not at the moment. It's definitely something that's coming up a fair bit. We know that trusts have quite a lot of work around policy management that Robin helps with, but it's not a policy manager. So you're not the first person to answer that question. It's definitely something we're thinking about. Another similar question I saw in the chat was whether Robin could recheck things at the point you say you have fixed the website rather than it just being an edit. Again, one step ahead of us. That's definitely something we're thinking about. We do take that feedback and the things that you say you have kind of done and use it to help improve Robin over time. But yeah, we've been reflecting a bit on that ourselves and thinking about how we can kind of confirm that something is there rather than just assuming that the person ticking that box means it is. So yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, so there's a couple of questions about those new features and kind of how we include them. So yeah, as I said, if you're a customer of Robin now or you sign up now, we will be happy to run those beta features for you, kind of on demand. They won't be run automatically with your checks because they're so new and we're looking for feedback. And we think we're going to be kind of growing the number of deep dives and iterating on the governance audit significantly over the next couple of terms at least. So right now, there's no sort of deadline for when that's going to come out of beta. We're just working on them. So if you're thinking of joining Robin, the good news is, you'll get those features in that first year. There could be a point kind of further on in the future or there will be a point where they roll into the main package. And we haven't made a decision yet in terms of sort of pricing and how we organize it. We think there's a lot more Robin can do than just what it's doing at the moment. So we're really keen to bring those to you and work out the best way to do it. And so it might be in the future that there's kind of a bit of a mix of options in terms of what you buy from us. But right now, everything's included in the kind of the regular tracker.
There was one in the chat there, which was what would be needed from you to sign up, just the websites. Pretty much just the name of your trust or the name of your school. Like I say, as long as you'll get information about schools page or pages, if you're a trust, are up to date with the current web address for your school, we should already have it. We pull everything and we've already got it sort of waiting ready for you to sign up. So what we need from you is the go ahead to say, yes, we want to sign up to the half termly or the monthly subscription. We'll obviously check that we've got everything we need. Sometimes there are missing websites on get information about schools, but yeah, as long as your data on there is up to date, we'll already have it and we're just ready to hit the ground running.
I'm getting distracted by really interesting chats in the chat rather than actual questions. I think we're probably coming to the end of the questions. So very happy to follow up. There's a couple in there that I'll just finish up on. Yeah, so what we do in terms of like the cycle, if the policy says last reviewed in December 24, reviewed every 2 years, we use that to calculate that its next review should be in December 26. So in terms of reading the full content of the policy, we're able to base those review dates on a kind of cycle. We don't capture right now and show, but it is something we've thought about, like what is the cycle for this policy? Even if you can infer that from the dates, it's not something that's kind of presented, and we have thought about that. Yeah, I'm intrigued by this DPIA question, but I don't quite understand. If you mean, are we happy to help with a DPIA in terms of Robin itself? Then yeah, absolutely. We've done those for trusts, and we're very happy to, and schools, and we're very happy to share. Yeah, okay, that's good. We're very happy to, if you speak to Hannah, we're very happy to help with that. We have our privacy policy and kind of data policy on our website as well. So that has all of the first thing we would do with someone doing a DPIA is to say, have a look at the privacy policy and everything else that's on our public website. But yeah, we're very happy to help with that process. Robin is working entirely with publicly available data and kind of presenting that back to you. And so that's normally a pretty straightforward process. Thanks everyone for joining. Just a couple of things before we finish. If you're not already on a preview of Robin, we do offer Trusts a free preview of one of their schools. So we will be sending out free previews to any trusts that have been on the call that haven't had that yet. And if you already have one, we'll be refreshing those previews just so you can get an up-to-date one. If you have any questions or there's anything specific you want to follow up on, you can email us on hello@robin.education, that email address at the bottom there. Yeah, I think that's it. Thanks a lot for coming along. Hopefully that was useful. And thanks for the questions and chat. It was really great to see it. And seemed like lots of enthusiasm about those new features, which I want to go back and look at.